Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Jerry Miller. It's great to be with you on a Monday, a beautiful Monday across Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia. We have a fantastic program lined up for you. We have Patrick Estes, who is running for Albemarle County Sheriff. This guy, a talented football player at the University of Virginia, tight end, who had success in the National Football League with the San Francisco 49ers. We'll put that NFL career into perspective. We'll ask him why he's wanting to get into the sheriff race and about his competition, his thoughts on the race in totality, and what he can offer Albemarle County. I want to talk to him about what he loves about Charlottesville and what he loves about raising a family and starting a family here in Charlottesville and being in this fantastic community. We will get to Patrick in a matter of moments. Before we do, let's thank some of the folks that make the program possible. First, I want to give some love to Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. We are their proud advertising agency of record. It's a 4-generation strong business. They are proud University of Virginia supporters. Interestingly, this company started with one truck in 1969, the first generation, Mr. Wells. He would go to a home, he would service the home, then he would head to the nearest phone booth, and from that phone booth, he would call the second customer and say, "May I come to your home now?" Now they have an office in Richmond, an office in the Shenandoah Valley, the headquarters right around the corner from Bodo's Bagels on Harris, and a Commonwealth-wide service area and footprint. We love success stories like this in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. We also want to give some good, big-time props to Dr. Scott Wagner, good friend of ours, of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine, our proud client as well. Dr. Wagner is a diehard Wahoo fan, and whether it's chiropractic care, whether it's sports medicine, whether it's physical therapy, Dr. Wagner is changing people's lives one patient at a time. Who's got your back? Dr. Scott Wagner's got your back. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the easy job. My job is to sit on this mic and be myself and have a good time and champion and celebrate Charlottesville Monday through Friday from 12:30 to 1:30. The tough job is Harris Tolber, our director. The tough job is Judah Wickhauer and Lauren Linsky, our producers. They keep us on air. They keep me focused, which is no easy task. And I certainly want to salute our team, because without our team, we wouldn't be doing this right now, and it is truly a team effort. I think on that note, Harris, we should go to the studio cam, and we should welcome Patrick Estes to the set. I'm going to start by saying thank you kindly for joining us. And then I'm going to follow the question up to you, Patrick, by saying, before we get into you for sheriff, before we get into all the nitty-gritty of your campaign, I'd like to know who you are, the man, the person, your hobbies, your interests, your passions, what you love about Charlottesville. The show is yours.
Sure. Thanks, Jerry. And really, thanks for having me on this show. I'm really excited to be here. Something that we'll get into in a little bit about this Albemarle County Sheriff race. A big piece of it is getting people interested in a down ballot race that a lot of people may not know about, and trying to draw interest to the election that's coming up. And this certainly is a great way to do it, and I appreciate you having me on the air. So to share a little bit with you and our viewers out there about Patrick Estes, who I am. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. My dad went to the University of Virginia, and I knew from a young age that was where I wanted to go to college. And I actually didn't start playing football until I was in high school. And we used to come up here I'd been to basketball camps, soccer camps. But like I said, at a young age, I knew I was coming to Charlottesville for the University of Virginia when I was in preparing for college. So I started playing football when I was in high school, and things kind of shifted. And not only was I still wanted to go to the University of Virginia, but then I decided after someone said, "Hey, you could probably play in college if you wanted to," and sort of shifted gears and said, "Hey, I'm going to play college football at the University of Virginia." And I was fortunate enough to get recruited by Coach George Welsh, in the later years of my high school, and was offered a scholarship to attend the University of Virginia, which was was a big deal for me and my family, and really proud to have that a start to my football career in college with George Welsh coming to our house and asking me to come join the team. It was really exciting. And then actually my first year when I came to school, Coach Gore came to town, and he was actually my coach when I was here for 4 years at UVA. So at UVA, I had a wonderful experience here at Virginia playing football. I played tight end, as you mentioned. I met my wife. She was a pole vaulter on the track team I mentioned to you earlier. and just a really special place. And you know, anyone that went to school here knows that, and people that live here, and you know, I think we'll get into it about this community, is it's a really neat place to be. And you know, I can sit here all day and tell you stories about college football, but we got some bigger things that we'll get to here. But so during my football career here at Virginia, I had set my goal early on. I was going to graduate in 3 years, and I was going to go to the NFL. And some people thought that was crazy, but that was my goal. And I didn't quite reach it. I didn't graduate in 3 years. I graduated in 3.5 years. But I was drafted in the NFL. I was drafted by the 49ers, and that took me out to the West Coast, which was unbelievable. I'd never been out there before. I was drafted as a tight end, and I was fortunate enough to play in San Francisco for 3 years. And then towards the end of my career out there, I ended up, I got released and I got picked up by the Bills. So I spent a little bit of time in Buffalo, and my oldest son was actually born in Buffalo. And then we ended up back in the Bay Area, and that's when from there I got into law enforcement. I found my calling of what I wanted to do and what I was meant to do, and that was be a police officer. And so I worked for the Santa Clara Police Department in the Bay Area. It's the same city. Some folks might not know that the 49ers, it's the San Francisco 49ers, but the training camp's actually in Santa Clara, California. So post-football career, I got into law enforcement, and we're still in that same city in Santa Clara. So I still knew a lot of folks related to football and was still around it. And when I was working in law enforcement, and truly found a call-in of a way to serve our community out there. And I was fortunate enough to work a lot of different assignments in my time with the police department. I started out in patrol, and I worked patrol for several years. I was a field training officer when I was out there. And then I got into some really neat assignments where I worked. I got into the SWAT team, and I was a sniper on the SWAT team. I got to work in Homeland Security and Special Events Unit. That was my final assignment. And I also got to work undercover narcotics. So I had a wide variety of experiences when working in law enforcement out there. And we had, I mentioned that our oldest son, Caleb, who's 10, he was born in Buffalo. And then our other two kids, Noah and Reese, were born at Stanford out in California. So that was my law enforcement. And, maybe we'll get into a little bit more of what, kind of the training and the experience that I had in law enforcement when I was out there. But my wife and I knew we were coming back to Virginia. Charlottesville, like I said, it's a special place to us. Albemarle County is where we wanted to be. And we ultimately moved back to, we're out in Crozet now, and we just love it. And it's really neat to be back here and be a part of the community. We moved back about 3 years ago, and kind of to the end of my law enforcement career, mentioned working at Levi's Stadium Special Events as a law enforcement officer. That I used that to move our family back to Charlottesville, and that was with working around the special events. I realized, hey, maybe I could do it on the other side of the house, on the private side, and that's where I called the owner of RMC Events, Dan Schmidt, and just explained to him who I was and what I'd done in my professional career as an athlete and my professional career as a law enforcement officer, and then kind of into the special event piece. And I flew out here, had a great conversation with him, and it worked out that he had, it was an opportunity for me to work as a regional director for RMC Events. So our office is based here in Albemarle County, and I oversee the western half of the state for RMC Events, University of Virginia being our largest client. And we do a lot of stuff for any folks out there that have been to events. You've probably seen our staff work in those events in a variety of capacities. So it was a neat transition. The RMC Events family is fantastic. We got tons of people that over 500 staff in the region here, and then over 1,000 in Richmond. We got a lot of staff, and we call ourselves a family, and it truly is. It's a great place to work, and I'm really fortunate for the opportunity that Dan Schmidt gave me to come and work in this capacity with RMC Events. So that's like my career path, which is it's rather unique.
Yeah, totally is.
But having that experience, we can get into stories if you want about working.
I got a lot of questions.
I'm sure you do, and we'll go there. And just a little bit out, touch on my personal side of things. I usually, I basically hit all professional kind of items, but my family is the most important thing to me in the world. Same. And that's what it's all about, and that's why we we want to be back in this area because my family is all in Richmond. I have 4 siblings, and my parents are in Richmond, and my in-laws are close as well, within driving distance. And being, as much as we loved California and the opportunities that we had out there, we knew we wanted to be back here, and family is, like I said, the most important thing. So we, in our personal time, between school and all the different athletics events that we're doing, I coach all the kids in different sports. So
Really?
I'm coaching, that's right. So I'm coaching flag football, coached soccer last year, basketball. I've helped out with baseball. I don't know a whole lot about baseball, but we're very involved with the kids' athletics and after-school activities. And my wife's she's currently doing a long-term sub job out in Brownsville, so that's where the kids go to school in Brownsville. So we're deeply connected to the area and the school, and we just love it. And in our beyond the sports that we're doing, when we're together, we'll go out. We'll go hiking, we'll go biking, we go paddle boarding out at Beaver Creek, and and we have an enormous dog named Scooby who's a Great Dane, and we like to spend time with him. And he usually tags along just about everywhere we go. But that's what it's all about, is spending time with the kids and my wife, and that's what, in the spare time that I have, which is not a lot
Very
right
little.
now.
Right.
That's what we like to do. So
I love it. Let's turn that into a sizzle reel, a highlight reel. I thought that answer was on point. Let's give some props to some of the people that are watching. Ellen Markowitz, who I believe is out in Crozet. What's up, Ellen? Hope you're doing well. Chris Turner, Tim Ryan, Jonathan Colasso, Laura Jackson, Cecilia Courtney says, hey, Patrick.
All
Val
right.
Green, Dan Price. Bill Granford, Laura, a lot of folks watching. We got folks watching all across the Commonwealth right now. Some folks watching outside D.C. What's up, Ray Cadell, Sarah Hill Buczynski, Ron Gantz. Folks watching in Martinsville and in Nashville right now. If you guys could like and share the feed, that would mean the world to us. I want to get a feel for Patrick Estes, the romantic. I mean, you said your wife is a pole vaulter at UVA. How did you woo her? Put that into perspective here. I mean,
Wow.
does a football player have to do a lot of work to woo another athlete? I mean, put that in perspective. You're 6'7", aren't you?
I am 6'7", yeah.
I mean, you got that going for you. Talk to me about that story.
Yeah. So, you mentioned, athletes. I think athletes are, they're in college. You're living a different lifestyle. You have, it is a regimented, day, the routine of what you're doing, and you end up being around other athletes from different sports. And I see it now, even working around the university. And it's part of what I love about my job now, is I still feel that I get to be around it. However, I feel really old because the athletes now are so much younger than me. But it's a neat culture to be a part of as an athlete. And for those of you out there that have done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But being on a team, for one, is really neat. And then collegiate athletics is there's something special about collegiate athletics that's different. People think that professional sports is like, just because it's the next level of athleticism, they think it's always, everything about it must be better. But the thing that you have obviously great teams, and that's really neat to be a part of on a professional level. But in college, the bonds that you make with your teammates and the other athletes is really, really special. And the relationships that I made on the football team at University of Virginia have carried through to this day. And there's guys that that some of them live in town, and we'll probably talk about some of them. Heath Miller is one of my dear friends. We actually, I didn't mention this, but when I said I coach basketball, Heath and I we coached 2 teams this past year, and we've been doing that since we both moved back. And having that relationship where you might not see someone for a while, but then as soon as you see them, it's like you're best friends. Sure. And it takes a second to catch up. But I think that can be expanded beyond just your own team, and I think you have that common ground with other athletes and the respect for what they do, which leads me to the answer of.
I want the nitty gritty, Patrick.
Well, I don't know if we're going to disclose all the nitty gritty on air here. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, the story of how my wife and I met was through a mutual friend, someone that I knew from growing up in Richmond. Was actually her roommate in college.
Okay.
They're both track athletes. And that's how we met. I actually saw her the first time I saw her in the weight room, ironically. Because like I said, we're kind of on similar schedules, doing similar type things, working towards your goals of athletics. And But anyway, that's how we got connected and just hit it off. And
what was the line you used to break the ice? Was there a line?
I don't have. If I had one, I've forgotten it. So it must have not been good.
So in the weight room, I love this, and people are responding very well to this. Ray says he's driving to Charlotte and listening to the show right now. Ray, we appreciate that support. Your page is blowing up, Patrick. I mean, let's give some love to some of your friends. Michael Wazinski, Kathy, Carolyn Watanabe. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, Kathy. Thank you.
Well.
Yeah, thank you kindly for watching. Give the show a like and a share. Did you know that she was the one? And then the follow-up question to that is you know, how difficult of a conversation is, sweetheart, I just got drafted. I'm going from Charlottesville to San Francisco, and I'm going to start a pro career as a rookie in the NFL. Yeah,
you know, it's interesting that you asked that because not many people think of that piece. It's really exciting when you when you get drafted. When I found out I got drafted to the 49ers, you're really excited, but then you realize what it means to your family and other people involved. And at the time, we were dating. We weren't engaged or married yet. It was tough. I wouldn't, if Lauren was sitting here, she wouldn't say that she was like super excited that I was going to move 3,000 miles away.
Right.
But it was really good for our relationship.
Especially a 22, 23-year-old with money living on the West Coast. I mean, the world's your oyster, dude.
Yeah. So, it was such a great experience just to be able to go out there. But to answer your question about our relationship, it really helped us. And I've actually shared this advice with some other younger folks in the past few weeks. But things might not always be what you want or what you think you need. But if you make the best of it and look on the positive note, it can be really good for you. So that it strengthened our relationship, and it let us know like, hey, we're meant to be together forever and get married. And so we got engaged shortly thereafter.
Cool.
And then after my rookie year, we got married back here in the Charlottesville area at a winery.
Nice. Which one?
At Oakencroft, which not around we were towards the end of when they were doing events and having weddings, but so we got married at Oakencroft, and again, the tie, it's all about being in this area, and that we have a lot of connections. Even we got married here, and then we moved out there to the West Coast and did our thing.
Did San Francisco pale in comparison to Charlottesville? Because San Francisco is one of like the dopest spots to live. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, the weather's always nice. I mean, compare and contrast San Fran to CVille.
So I will start off by saying that if I had to pick two of my favorite places in the world,
what's those two?
It's going to be Charlottesville and San Francisco.
Really?
The Bay Area. I'll say the Bay Area because we lived in Santa Clara, we lived in Livermore.
Okay.
And the Bay Area is rather large, but the city of San Francisco, you're right, it's unbelievable. So the weather out there is a little bit different than it is here.
Right.
That was something I really enjoyed when I got out there as a football player in summer camp when it's not Charlottesville 100 degrees and humid. I really enjoyed that. But the Bay Area, there's so many things to do. I started surfing out there my rookie year, and
you don't see a lot of 6'7" jack dudes on a surfboard.
So one of my buddies, Adam Snyder, is a great friend of mine, and we were rookies together. He's an offensive lineman. And, we were both. I mean, he's probably 6'5", 6'6", and at the time he was probably pushing 320, 330. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
At the time I was 6'7" and about. I was over 300 pounds.
Okay.
I was gaining weight because I was playing tackle at the time. But
sure.
We both went and got surfboards made and thought we were cool and went out and surfed at Santa Cruz and Capitola. And,
I bet you turned some heads.
That was it, man. I'll tell you a quick story.
Please do.
I think people will really enjoy this. But when we were, so anyone that knows, some people that are listening might know about the surfing culture and that, there is surfing etiquette, although everyone's just out in nature doing their thing and having fun, recreational sport. Obviously, there's a whole different levels of surfing, but we were on the recreational level and out there doing our thing. And some folks, take it upon themselves to kind of guard different areas or maybe not let outsiders in, or if you're not a local.
I've seen Point Break.
Yeah, you've seen, so man.
Yeah.
If you've seen Point Break, But, locals only kind of mentality. And my buddy Adam and I were out at this spot, and someone just told us to go. It was kind of near Half Moon Bay, and there was literally like 4 people in the water in this huge area. And We were doing our own thing, minding our own business. And this guy, this long-haired surfer, starts screaming at us. We didn't cut him off. We didn't drop in on. We didn't do anything that would be, kind of break the etiquette of surfing. And he starts screaming at us and paddling over. And there might have been some foul language involved. And we honestly didn't know. Hey, we're just here to, we're trying to have
enjoy
fun
the ocean,
surf, right, man?
Yeah.
I don't think you own the ocean, right? So. But at any rate, he comes over, and I think he was about to come over and try and kick us out. But then as he got closer and closer, he realized he was looking at two enormous human
He's like,
beings.
oh shit, these
he's
guys
like,
are huge.
Yeah, he's like, a little bit over 5 feet,
Right.
like smaller guy, like,
Right.
Like kind of, that was, we had some good times out there, and surfing was a part of it, and. That was, I just thought you would enjoy that.
I do
and
enjoy
I'm sure
that.
Some other people would probably enjoy it. So different side of me that most folks don't get to hear about or learn about. So I appreciate you kind of opening it up on a personal level.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's like humanize and localize and personalize you, because I feel like a good brand, and you running for sheriff, you are now essentially a brand. As much as, it's tough to say that. And a good brand is humanized, localized, and personalized. And I'm trying to get a feel for you, the person, your hobbies, your interests, what you like. And then we're going to talk about the run for Albemarle County Sheriff, which I'm really excited about. How about a couple questions on, one or two questions about San Francisco, then the move to Charlottesville, the conversion from tight end to tackle. I mean, you were always a very, very, and I remember watching you play. I went to UVA, same time you were there. You were always a big tight end, physically, measurable-wise. 6'7". You had the frame where you could put on some LBs. You had great feet. And I think being able to convert a tight end to tackle is great, because tight ends generally a little more agile, a little more athletic, a little better footwork. So talk to me about that conversion, man. I mean, was that one of the hardest things you've ever done?
It was really tough. I had it in the back of my mind that it might be a way that I can get to the next level of playing football. But I was drafted as a tight end by the 49ers, Coach Mike Nolan. And I was a bigger tight end, and thank you for the compliment of my feet. I don't know how well they work now or if they're still quick, but I was on the bigger side of being a tight end, and there was this other tight end who most people have heard of. His name's Heath Miller, and we came in together. And and he was the premier tight end. He was the guy who was catching tons of passes. He's an excellent tight end. So to be part of the system, I was trying to find my niche, and I was like, well, I can be a bigger blocking tight end. I got no problem with that if that's what's best for our team, and it gets me on the field a little bit more. And that's kind of what I did. I tried to get bigger and turn into a kind of different type of tight end, which I did, and then it would it enabled me to, get some looks from the scouts, and then ultimately get drafted, and like I said, as a tight end. So I showed up in the mini camp in the spring in San Francisco, first time ever out there. I think I went through one weekend of the off season, like a mini camp, and then Coach Nolan called me in his office and said, if you want to make this team, I would recommend that you transition to playing tackle. And when a head coach tells you that, do what you got to do. You'd say, "All right, yes, sir, not a problem." And I knew it was going to be tough, and it was going to be a challenge, because at the time I was probably 6'7". I probably was weighing about 280, which is pretty big for a tight end, but
it's huge for a tight end.
Pretty small
light
for a tackle, right?
Yeah.
So I was eating everything I possibly could to put on some weight, and then try to figure out how to play tackle. I'd never played tackle in college. It was a whole new challenge, like you said, and it was really tough. But I had a great coach out there. I had great teammates. The offensive line is kind of a subculture, a sub team within a team, and I was really fortunate to have a great group of guys, bunch of variety of experiences, different ages in the league. But we had a really good group of guys out there, and that certainly helped me in my my path to to learn the position and then try and play at the tackle. And they wanted me to play left tackle, which is tough.
Right.
So I was.
Who was your quarterback at the time?
So Tim Rattay was the quarterback for the Niners when I started.
Yeah.
But I was drafted. Alex Smith.
We
were in the same draft class.
Yeah.
So he quickly,
became the franchise quarterback.
Turned into the guy. Had a phenomenal career.
Yeah.
and it was really neat. There's a lot of players that I was fortunate enough to play with that came into my class. Frank Gore, who's still playing.
Yeah.
That guy is a beast.
Yeah.
The thought of playing for as many years as he has,
especially at running back,
getting pounded by large men.
Right. And he's overcome a horrific knee injury.
Yeah. Right out of college. I mean, people were skeptical of how well he would do.
Right.
And he's, some of these guys, and I'll share it with the show. I think it's important that to see a player's side of kind of point of view is that a lot of, Frank Gore is a great guy, Alex Smith, great guy. These guys that I played with, people see them on TV, but they're great people, and they're really, you can learn so much from. I think one of the neat aspects of being involved in professional athletics, and even on the college level, is you get groups of people from all over the country. Who have different backgrounds, they look different, they talk different, they're just different people come together with a common goal. And I think there's a lot to be learned from athletics when people focus on that. And I think we have some coaches at the University of Virginia now that are doing that, and it's very it's working very well for them. But I enjoy that selfishly because I was able to learn from all these different folks and their experiences and kind of learning, and I learned this in the NFL. There was players that they weren't just football players. They did all kinds of other amazing things for our community and in the country. And I think that's really neat to see that side of folks. Vernon Davis comes to mind. Just that he did. Does a lot of neat stuff, but he's an artist, and to see a different side of folks that people just think all you can do is play football. There's a lot. You can do a lot more than that. And
I think the fan almost looks at you guys as like you guys are like a racehorse. Right. But the reality is you guys are people with feelings.
That's it.
And you have talents that are not just tied to football. It's just you excel at this particular sport, and for a short window of time, maybe Frank Gore a little bit longer, you need to exploit and take advantage of that window and that earning potential as much as possible because it could be gone at any given moment. And I want to, last question with that is like, when did you realize that window was closed? And how difficult was it for you to realize, shit, my football career is done. Yeah. And now I got to pivot into something else because, not every, there's this stigma with professional athletes that like you get it to the NFL and you're made for life, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, it's not. And I started out. I was a 7th round draft pick, and there are 7 rounds of the draft. So I was just hoping to get on a team and to be given an opportunity,
get a chance,
just to get a shot at it. To know I gave everything I had and to see if I could do it. And so I was always right on the edge of that roster, knowing that I had to make the team every year. So it was tough. I never thought, I'm set. I made it to the NFL, I'm good. And I'd say a lot of that hunger drives a lot of guys, and you'd be surprised. Even some of the guys that might have been the higher draft picks, they're not. There's very few folks that kind of think like, I made it, I'm good. There's a lot, and that's partially what drives the competitive nature of
especially
that business.
In the NFL with non-guaranteed contracts.
That's right. People are hungry. They're working hard. They're trying to take care of their families. So it is incredibly competitive and tough. But at no point in my career did I feel comfortable. I never did. It was actually very stressful to be in that position, not knowing, if you're gonna be on the team. If you got to work. I was working as hard as I possibly could, and I played for 3 years, which isn't very long. Compared to some, the Frank Gore, and I was by no means like an all-star. I got to play a little bit, which I'm very fortunate that I had the opportunity, to do that and be a part of that, and know that I gave football everything I could. But then, like you said at the end, I never knew. Like when I got released from the Niners, I got picked up by the Bills, flew across the country.
Yeah. You can't ask for a more different environment.
That's right. It was December, and because towards the end of the season, and got released from San Francisco. Coach Nolan said, "Hey, we're going to sign you back." They wanted a different position player for that week. We're going to sign you back right after the season. I got picked up off the waivers to go to Bills, and next thing you know, like 24 hours later, I'm standing in Buffalo, and it's like 0 degrees and 2 feet of snow.
Right.
A little bit different, but it was really neat. Being able to live in different areas of the country and meet more people and be a part of a different team and see how, that was only the second NFL team I had been on.
Your son was born in Buffalo. What's the conversation like? Sweetheart, we're going from San Fran to upstate New York.
That's right.
And we're going to have a family here.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's no easy conversation, is it?
So my wife was pregnant when I hopped on that plane to go to New York, which was a tough one, but again, it was good. It made our relationship stronger. And then, we moved up there, and then my oldest son, Caleb, was born in Buffalo. And then, I went through a year of training up there and then didn't make the final cut at that training camp in 2008. And that's when, Caleb was like a week old, and hey, honey, guess what? We're leaving Buffalo now. So we have a week-old baby. We're new parents. We don't know what we're doing.
Wow.
So it was a lot, but again, that's life, and that's if you look at the positive things and use it to kind of catapult yourself forward into what are we doing next? We didn't know what we were doing next. So I tried to get. I thought, well, maybe I can get picked up by another team. I was working out. The phone wasn't ringing. My agent was calling me. Hey, we can do this and that. And then I quickly realized I wasn't going to hang around for years waiting for the phone to ring.
Sure.
And it's really tough. And the guys that have been there know there's not an answer. You don't know if you shut it down after a week and say this is it, or do you wait a year? And it's tough. But I'm not one to sit around and wait to do things. So I stayed in shape. And then I don't know the exact timeline, but I realized I needed to make a decision on what I'm going to do and what I'm going to do for my family and take care of my family. And that's when I found my calling for law enforcement. I did a ride-along with the police department in Santa Clara, and I knew that was it. And after that, I applied, and it's a long process. Obviously, with any law enforcement agency, you have to go through a background check, and that process can take 4 to 6 months to get through all of it. So over that time, we kind of set up shop again back in the Bay Area, and then I was in the academy, and it was really. There's a lot. We were back and forth across the country, but like I said, a unique career path, and that's kind of what got me into. That was the beginning of my law enforcement career.
I love that. That's a perfect sizzle reel. Start with my question there, Harris Tolber, and go through that answer. Dr. Wagner, thank you for joining us on the show. Drew Kraft, thank you for joining us on the show. Keith Smith, the Marine, the realtor, thank you for joining us on the show. Bellamy Brown, who's running for city council, joining us on the show. We have Leslie Gorday watching in Crozet. Ellen Markowitz says, Patrick, get your kids in my tennis camp in Crozet. We got a number of folks watching right now in City Hall, live on 7 channels across the I Love CVille network. The reason I wanted to ask about the conversion from tight end to tackle in the NFL is because you embody, I feel like every step of the way with what you've done professionally, you've embodied the mantra that we embody here at the business, which is do what you got to do. You're going to do what it takes to get the job done right, no matter if that's a pivot, a change of position, change of career path. I mean, I remember when I was walking out of Martha Jefferson Hospital, and I turn and my wife is next to me, and she has our son in the baby carrier, and the nurses and the doctors are like, all right, you're out of here. And she and I were like, what the hell? We have to keep this kid alive? There's no playbook, there's no manual, and did we put the car seat in the right way? What if the kid falls out of the car seat? And I can't even imagine doing it where you're having to find a new career. I mean, that is just the epitome of do what you got to do. Put that in perspective for me, and then let's segue into Albemarle County Sheriff and your run. Sure. Because I'm super pumped for what you have to offer to the community. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason I'm running is because I want to serve our community. I mean, I explained to you how I feel about this community. It's a special place. That's what you do here, right? You're promoting our community. I think everyone, and I didn't even finish my answer back up to the San Francisco and Charlottesville. I forget if it was what's your favorite place.
Yeah, you said they were your 2 favorite places.
That's right, but we talked about some of the differences. There's not an ocean here. We don't get to surf here. But there's a lot of similarities. And I think, when we moved back, when we started here and then we moved out there's a lot of similarities. And there's a lot, the feeling of the community, and people take pride in this place, and that means a lot. And I think you get that quickly. And our community, out in Crozet, that it's a wonderful group of people that live out there. And then in the Charlottesville area, the greater Albemarle County, I think people take a lot of pride in this area and what it is to them, and that means a lot. And that's part of the reason I mean, I'm running because I want to give back to a community that has given so much to me, and I feel fortunate to be even sitting in this seat right now and just speaking with you about this. And it also ties in that given my background, I do have a unique background and experiences professionally, and
you really do.
I think I can use those experiences both with professional athletics, because there's a lot that came from that, and then with my law enforcement career and the training and experiences I had, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about that, but using those two, the experience that I have, I'm the youngest candidate running for this position, but I have experiences that put me in a really good place to be a great candidate for this job.
For sure.
And I think that kind of drives me to being the candidate for the job, but wanting to serve and make our community better. And I think this position really can. I think what hopefully we'll get into right now is that the expectation of the sheriff, I think we can raise that expectation of beyond the core responsibilities of what the position does. And we can push and ask for more from the position. That's what I want to do, is to do more than just those core responsibilities that our community and our citizens are asking for, and what's the nature of the job. But what else can we do to make this place better for everyone that lives here?
I think when you think Albemarle County, I've been here 19 years. You've been here similar time off and on. I think when you think Albemarle County Sheriff and you've been in the community as long as we have, immediately you think the name Chip Harding.
That's right.
And he has, successfully served for an extended period of time. He's on the back end, obviously, of his career, and is interested in doing other things, which we can totally appreciate when you get to that point of your life. I want a two-part question. What does the position currently entail? Mm-hmm. And how are you seeing that position evolve should you win this election?
Okay. So the current roles and responsibilities of the sheriff's office, if you boil them down to just the basic core responsibilities, are court security, mm-hmm. Transportation of the prisoners and mental health patients back and forth from facilities, as well as civil process. And then to kind of touch upon Sheriff Harding, that he's put us in a really good spot for our sheriff's office right now, because like you said, he's done a great job. People like him. I've met with Chip, and we sat down and we talked about a variety of different things. But I'm excited that it's not a department or a sheriff's office that's in ruins and needs to be rebuilt. And I'm telling you that I'm going to come back and do X, Y, Z to fix it, which is a good thing for everyone that's listening, everyone that's in the county.
The foundation
right?
is there to make something even more special.
So we have, the foundation is there.
Yeah.
But we can build upon that and ask, what more can we do beyond that? And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to be a young candidate running for this position, and I'm qualified to do it. And I want to share kind of my vision of what does that mean that we can do more with the position. And it kind of ties into the Charlottesville, Albemarle County. We're all one. It's one big area, right? We're all one community. And I think this position as a leader in the county can really help. Can help in different areas that might not fall into those core responsibilities of what the sheriff is expected to do. Mm-hmm. But I think help building relationships with our community. So community engagement is one of the largest things that I really want. That's a part of my platform, something that I know we can do. And
you're good at it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you're good at it.
Yeah. It's important, and I think dealing with people in general, you got to understand where they're coming from and where are we trying to go. But if we know we have all kinds of different people in our county with different interests. But if we're trying to make it better, how can we do that? And with the community engagement, some things that I would like to implement would be just more interactions with sheriff's office deputies and our community members. It could be coffee with a cop, donut with a deputy, mm-hmm. Getting more personal relationships. We just sat here and talked for a few minutes about who I am as a person. If we can do that and get our deputies engaged in the community and realize that our deputies and our police officers are humans and humanize them to the public, and vice versa with the public, with the police officers and deputies seeing that, hey, our community is not just someone that is, upset about something. They have a story, and there's something to it, and there's all these different stories of all these different people, and how can we bring everyone, together to make those relationships better, so people are getting better service and we're more entrenched into the community. And again, we're not in a bad spot, but I think that the sheriff's office can help with the other agencies, with the county police department, with the city police department, with the university police department. And I've talked to those chiefs, and they're all about that, because why wouldn't they be? It helps everyone.
Right.
And I think another important thing with the community engagement would be starting a sheriff's office citizen advisory panel, where you're getting different folks from around the county and getting feedback. And then also another important piece of that is not only just listening to community members, but sharing information with what's going on in the sheriff's office. And, you can call it transparency, but I think just sharing information of what is happening or what is not happening with the public who are owed that information, I think that helps promote the trust, and it builds the relationship that what I would like to do. I think it's incredibly important. It builds on just community involvement, community policing. It's about making our community better. And I think it's maybe some folks might be thinking, this could never happen. This is about. We're not saying to change the world. We're just saying to incrementally make our relationship better, to provide a better service to our community, and have everyone working together towards a common goal.
I love that answer. That is definitely a sizzle reel. Make sure that's a sizzle reel there, Harris Tolber.
Yeah.
Terry Cadell, thank you for sharing the show. Grant White, welcome to the program. We appreciate you watching, Grant. Cecilia Courtney, Del Smith, thank you kindly for watching the show. John Gilmore, Dan Barnes, Rick Henderson, thank you for watching. We are Commonwealth-wide here. We're into Pennsylvania, into Tennessee, and into North Carolina right now with Patrick Estes. I see the similarities with what we were talking about, of how fans, and we were talking about the metaphor with the NFL, where fans of teams almost see the athletes on NFL teams, any sports team really, as this thoroughbred horse, and all they have to do on Sunday is get the team to the end zone and win on the scoreboard. And I think citizens and residents of communities oftentimes see our law enforcement officers as almost a similar way, where it's these guys are a gun and a badge, and all they got to do is keep us safe. But the reality is it's so much more than that. And for the community and law enforcement to function well and be this cohesive unit, like you guys were when Shaw was throwing to Miller and you were blocking for him, and Wally was there.
Yeah.
I mean, in this cohesive unit is we have to have trust, and we have to have a relationship. And I think what you're talking about is building a relationship with the community to further that level of trust.
That's right. And then with that, ultimately, you're increasing. You can and will increase the community safety, which at the end of the day is what our public safety is there for, is to make sure that our community as a whole, is safe, and the things that we're doing, it can function at a higher level.
Sure.
When you have more buy-in, and that's what I'm excited to do that and be a part of that. And I think I can also pull from my experiences with RMC events as the current regional director now. Although I'm on the private side of security and event staffing, I am fortunate enough that I get to work with the different law enforcement agencies in the localities here. I worked with the state troopers as well, and then different stakeholders within the university. So, I can apply those principles and those experiences. I don't want them to be overlooked, because they're valuable. And planning large-scale events, planning a concert for Charlottesville at Scott Stadium, in about a month's time.
It's huge.
Huge.
Yeah, 60,000 people in one spot, drinking and partying and getting jacked up over music.
That's right. And I mean, the planning that went into that, if you stop and think about the different groups that were involved, the amount of teamwork that needs to go into that in a short amount of time, and people have to work well together. And those relationships that I've built already in my current job are easily transferable into the sheriff's position, because it's a lot of the same players in the county and the city that work together. And I think that's really important, is having those relationships and being willing to expand upon them and work together. And that concert for Charlottesville, that's really neat to me, because it was tough. It was really tough from a work side of things. But
that was the concert post August 12th, guys, as a way to unify and galvanize and bring the community together again after August 11th and 12th. Dave Matthews, I mean, just Gore and Capshaw's outfit involved with this. He and his team instrumental in assuring safety, because could you possibly have, I can't even fathom of if something bad had happened then.
Yeah,
I mean, that would have been catastrophic.
Absolutely, and that's why it was so important to make sure that was a safe event. And there was a lot of people. I don't have the time to sit here and rattle off the names and the different groups that were involved in that planning process to ensure that it was safe. And people were still worried about it because of what had recently happened. But we as a team, as those I don't know, dozens, hundreds of people involved in the planning. Helped make it a great event. It was really neat to see everyone come together. We're talking about tens of thousands of our citizens in our community and people connected deeply to our community coming together. And it was really neat to see such a diverse group of people celebrating, our community together. And I think it really that was a neat event because the purpose was served, and I think it was everything it was supposed to be.
Love that answer.
But that was really special. But we had over 500 staff that we had to get together and for that event, just on the private event staff side. And then you're talking about police officers. I don't know what the number was for law enforcement. That was a huge undertaking. And then our partners with SMG and UVA Athletics and the university. All the different groups that came together to make that a great event. So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here on that, but that was really special. And I think we're talking about our community. That was a big deal for our community. So.
I love it. And Harris, I'm going to work you into the show here after this question. So you jump in and ask Patrick a question here shortly. John Copper, watching the program now. Big fan of John Copper.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly for tuning in, John. We love you on this program. He's come on the show before. I got to throw this to you. August 11th, August 12th, open-ended.
Okay.
You can go anywhere you want here. I was right here watching this firsthand. My wife, who's watching the show now, producer on this program, did not want me to come down here for fear of safety, and I totally get it. I came down here because I have a son, and I wanted to be able to relay to him when he got to AP US History or any history class and was reading about this. Your dad was there, and this is the firsthand perspective he can offer. Also, on the lion's share of this building, was concerned about the safety of the investment. And really wanted to see history transpire. It lingered with me, the evil and the sin that I watched on Market Street right there, lingered with me for like 90 to 100 days where I couldn't shake it. It's just like, it was weird. I couldn't get rid of it. And then it eventually became the impetus and the influence of this show, because we wanted to help change the conversation or do our small part of featuring thought leaders and influencers and entrepreneurs and charity, folks at charity, people that are running for office like yourself, and introduce them to the community and do it in a positive way. So August 11th, August 12th for you, what they meant to you, what they meant to the family, how it impacted you at all.
Yeah, I'll back up. A month before that, there was some form of a rally, and there was an event at the Sprint Pavilion, which is one of our clients. So, I came down for that event, and I'm drawing a blank on the date, but it was about a month before. I think it was in July. And I wandered over to where the rally was.
That's when the KKK was in town.
The KKK was in town,
Yeah.
and I walked over and saw, and I won't forget this. It almost seemed like it was surreal. It was almost like watching like a movie. Like this couldn't really be happening. These people in in KKK outfits and hoods and yelling, and just the hatred that was emanating from that area was really just sickening. And it was disturbing, and I just I saw it, and I went back to make sure that our event was going okay at the pavilion, and make sure that wasn't going to spill over, because we're only a few blocks away.
Sure.
So that that had an impact on me. Just knowing that there's people out there that have that much hate inside of them is, honestly, it's really just sad that's happening. But then moving forward to the August events, I'm not going to sit here and I don't want to kind of second guess what happened or how it was handled or the events that actually occurred. But I think what's important, and I think we're doing it well as a community, is never forgetting that happened, But what do we need to do to improve upon that? And I think, running for an elected position, that should be the forefront. We need to lead from the front, and without forgetting events like that happen in our community, and how can we avoid something, a tragic event, from happening in the future. And then while also taking in how this affected many different groups in our community, and is still affecting many different groups in our community. I think there's value in learning from tragic events, and it's unfortunate that they have to happen for some lessons to be learned, or to bring attention to certain ideas or certain thoughts, or however, I don't know, just to bring attention to things that are out there in the world that we need to, we and then our leaders need to make sure that we're putting our community in a safe position for in the future. So
I love that answer, and honestly, I feel similar, also compelled the same way. And, I've mentioned on this show a number of times, and John Dallas Campbell, thank you for watching. Rick White, thank you for watching. Steve Henderson and Richmond, thank you for watching. And like and share the feed. I've said many times that I felt compelled to run for, say, the 5th Congressional District, because I feel God has blessed, in a non-egotistical way and just an analytical way. And I feel like to be successful, we have to understand, just like you with football, you're like, Mike Nolan goes to you with the 49ers and says, dude, you're going to have to convert to left tackle to make this team. You put on weight, you do what you got to do to get it done. You understood what made you successful and what you weren't doing right and what you were doing well. And you went down the road of doing it well. I feel God has blessed me with these abilities to communicate and connect with people and instill and inspire confidence from people, and the gift of human connection, and the gift to take something incredibly complicated and make it simple and approachable, and for people to follow my lead as a leader. And I also feel compelled to get involved with politics because, like you, I don't like sitting on the sidelines, and I want to be on the front lines, and I want to be someone that helps in a teamwork structure determine the positive approach of where we need to head. And one of the reasons we added this gentleman, Harris Tolbert, to the show and to the team, our newest addition, is, remember, Harris, and I'm going to throw this to you. Remember in our interview when you were coming on the team, one of the first questions I asked you about team sports? I'm like, did you grow up playing team sports? And dude was a standout varsity soccer player at Western Albemarle High School, played on the club soccer team at JMU, and when he said to me, I got no experience, but I played team sports, I was like, shit, I can do something with that. Because if you can play with team sports, you can get along within the structure of everybody. Tolbert, jump in here, baby.
Yeah, Jerry, that's honestly exactly what I was going to talk about. First of all, I've immensely enjoyed the interview so far, hearing about Patrick's background. It's very unique. It's very, I was thoroughly entertained hearing your whole backstory. Growing up, I played soccer at Western Albemarle High School, and you form bonds with, other people that it gives you kind of an ability, a skill to connect with a team member, and I think that's something you take with you when you've played sports. And with you were talking about how an offensive line is almost like a subculture within a team, and I can totally see that, and how I think that offensive linemen they go to war every game, right? And it's I can totally see how that's a subculture. Would you say that those experiences have allowed you to be able to have trust and connect deeply with people, and especially with your partners in law enforcement out in California and back here in Charlottesville?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, put that in perspective.
Yeah, so I got a bunch of notes that I just kind of resonated with me. But the first thing is the team thing. I do the same thing. You have a former collegiate athlete. If in the police department, we had guys that had, obviously before the academy had no police experience. Sure. But they had played. We had in my last department in Santa Clara, we had a professional baseball player. We had a couple. We had several collegiate basketball players, and they get it. They understand teamwork, and you can take that and you can put it into business. I mean, there's very successful businessmen and women that have used that team concept to do and they can transfer it into the business world. And
it applies to everything.
It does, and I think and another thing that you mentioned was doing tough things together. And that's like a Coach Mendenhall, that's what he's all about, is doing tough things together, and it builds trust when you go through tough. And I do it in my current job with my full-time account managers. We do, you go through tough things together, and then it builds trust, and then you hold each other accountable. And that accountability piece it strengthens your team. And I think all of these ideas and concepts that we can talk about are easily transferred, and they should be transferred into our elected positions and our leaders within the community. And that team aspect can really strengthen our community. And that's what I hope to do. And that's one of the things that part of my experience is the value. I've been on all different types of teams, and I can use those values and experience to help build our community in our team, if you will.
I love that answer. Linda Loving Bolton, thank you for watching. Jessica Williams Rion, thank you for watching the show. Like and share the stream. I mean, it's honestly one of the first questions that I ask in an interview. I'm like, dude, or if it's, whoever it is, I'm like, what team sports did you play? What did you like about it? And like, I feel like that's one of the things. I look at you and like, I don't try to take a side or endorse a candidate. All I try to do, whether it's Toscano or Kathy Gallivan or Sally Hudson or Bellamy Brown, who's watching right now, and Michael Payne, anybody that comes on the show, Lloyd Snook, is I just try to have the platform, showcase who he or she is, and then allow the audience to make their own more informed decision, because they spend an hour hearing or listening to what you had to say. And I see a lot of like well-rounded skill sets. And I think potentially, what do you say to the naysayers who say this is a big leap? That maybe the experience isn't there. What do you say to that? Because you could probably say, I didn't have experience playing tackle.
Well, so I'll answer that one first, and then I'll come back to the other thing. So to the naysayers, and they're out there, and that's fine, but folks like you that are willing to have me on and help me spread my message. Right now, we're going door to door. We're calling folks. We're trying to reach everyone in the county to spread our message of what this position can be and how I am suitable for it, and a great candidate. But could I have played tackle? That we'll start with that. Was I going to be a good tackle if I had never played it? I didn't have the experience. Well, he played tight end, but as your words, not mine, I had good feet.
You have to
but
start
I hadn't
somewhere.
done it, right? So what did I do? I learned it, and I worked hard, and I played. So I had never been in law enforcement before I went to the police academy. But I went to the police academy, and I got 6-month academy, and then I have another additional 1,300 hours of training in a variety of different things beyond that. So I have a lot of training experience with the police department. And then I started working in special events on the law enforcement side and public safety. When I took this job here, my boss took a leap of faith on me because I didn't have experience as a regional director of a private event staffing and security company. But I used all my prior experience and I jumped right in, and I figured it out quickly, and I was able to propel our company forward. And we've taken on a lot over the past few years, and we're a very successful company in the area. And so for me, I just look at this as another challenge, and I have the right skill set that I can draw on. I have the police experience. I have the managerial experience and overseeing over 500 staff. And I'll draw on all my personal experience as well with, in the teamwork, and that all comes together. And it's different, and I don't know if everyone else has those same experiences as you said, it's a unique background, and not many people have that career path. But what I'm trying to do now, and although you talked about endorsements, I have people that mean a lot to this community, and Heath Miller and Chris Long have come out with public endorsements for me, which that means a lot to me.
It's big time.
It's big, and it helps. It's going to help us get our message out, and that's what we're trying to do. But in addition to them, we have a lot of volunteers that we're going door to door. We're calling folks. We're just telling friends, hey, did you hear, what Patrick's trying to do? And then, again, thank you for having me, because this means a lot that you're willing to help me spread my message to everyone that's out there listening. Because because of this position, and that's one of the beauties of this, is that it's not the next person up gets to be the sheriff. It's an elected position. And that's, I'm excited because I have a good shot at it, and I get to run an election, and we're running a campaign.
And you're a competitive guy.
And that's it. And I'm very competitive, and I got a great campaign manager who's helping me out. and we're young and we're motivated. This isn't, I mean, I'm not retiring to do this job. I'm super motivated to make our community a better place and enhance our community safety.
Love
that's
it.
why I'm getting jacked up, because
I can tell.
Yeah. and I'm just excited, and I've enjoyed the campaign. It's new to me. I haven't done that either. Not a problem. I might have started out not doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm finding my way, and my campaign manager is helping me. But at the end of the day, it's spreading the message of what I can do for our community and what our community needs and what overlaps there. And now I'm going to continue going door to door and talking to our community members. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I wish I had enough time to go to every single person's door and speak with them. Unfortunately, I don't. But I'm going to keep doing it right up to Election Day on the primary. The Democratic primary is on June 11th. That's that's the big date that I'm working toward.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything we can, to get folks out. And I mean, this just gets people. We're trying to get people interested in this race. Like I said, it's a down ballot race, and a lot of people aren't exactly coming out of the woodwork to go vote for the sheriff. So explaining them what our sheriff is and what can our sheriff be.
Well, it's a down ballot race because it's not a presidential race.
So it's an off year election.
Yeah.
So there's no, and then the sheriff's at the bottom of that list of what is on the ballot. So it's literally like just trying to get people involved is part of this.
Dude, I look at this
important.
as like a microcosm of you making the 49ers. Like what's happening right here.
Yeah.
It's so symbolic and so similar in a lot of ways of how do I figure out a way to make this team?
That's right.
And you're doing the same thing now. Is how do I figure out a way to make this Albemarle County team?
That's right.
And you're figuring out your strengths and weaknesses.
That's right. I'm figuring out, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't feel that I had a lot to offer our community. And it's not easy. This is really tough. And
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
I feel like we should celebrate your wife here. I mean, what do you do when you say to your wife, okay, sweetheart, we're going from Charlottesville to San Francisco.
That's right.
All right, sweetheart, we're going from San Francisco to Buffalo. Sorry, I just lost my job in Buffalo. We have a kid that's 1 week old. Now I got to figure out a new career. I'm going to be a police officer. I'm going to be in the SWAT team. I'm going to be a sniper.
Right.
I'm going to be in narcotics. I'm going to work undercover in unsafe areas. Yeah. I may die doing this, and now I'm going to try to be a sheriff.
So I mean, I can't thank my wife enough. I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for her. She's given me 3 beautiful children, and I wouldn't have been able to do everything I've done up to this point without her, because we have a strong relationship and we've been through some tough stuff. You just rattled off a few things. And having a great relationship has made this possible. And she is literally the rock in our household to make sure things are going on. Telling me where I need to be at what time. And we're doing a lot right now. I mean, anyone that has kids knows how difficult just getting kids to school and maybe one activity after school is not an easy task. Like you said, you walk out of a hospital with a baby and you didn't get the plan to how to raise a child. It's not easy. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Best, hardest thing ever.
But it's not easy.
Yeah.
Lauren gets really embarrassed and hates it when I thank her publicly. But since she's not sitting here, I can certainly thank her. But the amount of respect I have for her and what she's done for our family is unbelievable, and I'm really proud of our family and where we are now, and this is another step. Like, we've done a lot of hard things, and if this was really easy, there'd probably be a lot of people doing it, and the satisfaction at the end might not be that great. Or if you want to change big things, it's typically not really easy to do that, and you fully understand that because you and your companies have been extremely successful, and you didn't start it. No one handed it to you. So that's something I pride myself in, is my work ethic, and I'm not going to stop until I've given everything I had. At the end of the day, with this goal, it comes down to a vote. So, do more people think that I'm the right person for this job than someone else? So, but I'm not going to leave anything on the table, and I'm going to give it everything I have. And I'm really excited to be here. And to me, I like the word opportunity. It's one of my favorite words, because there's so many opportunities out there, but what you do with them is up to you, and no one can no one can steer you from how you attack an opportunity. And when I saw this one, once my wife and I sat down and said, hey, we're doing this. it's full throttle, and I am competitive, and I'm not going to let up, and I'm going to do everything that we can to do it, to get to where I want to be, for good reasons. I've been doing the right thing, and doing the right thing all the time. Is someone taught me that. My Sergeant Fitting back at Santa Clara PD taught us when we came in. He hired us and said, "Do the right thing all the time." That was his thing. And if you do the right thing all the time, you're never wrong. And it's true. And I think it's really important in public safety that that's what we're doing. We're doing the right thing all the time for the right reasons. And I think that, again, the opportunity, the sheriff position for our community. It's and you mentioned, what the race is, and getting, maybe not a lot of publicity or people involved, and we're trying to get people involved, but hopefully anyone out there listening in our county now realize that this is important to our community. You might not have even known this is happening.
More so than ever.
But this is an important, it's our public safety and our community safety is important, and it affects your everyday life.
Yeah.
And you get to vote for who your sheriff is, so why wouldn't you?
I love that answer. Please make sure that's a sizzle reel, Harris, and we can call that one family support. Dude, we filled almost 70 minutes here, 66 minutes. You've crushed it. A couple things I want to take from it is I love that you said the word opportunity is one of your favorite words. It's because we embody similar qualities, and that we see destiny is this word, but hard work and the effort you put into it helps determine your destiny. And I feel like you embody that. We're yes, there's some kind of life and path for us, but the steps we take in that life determine how we get there. And the second thing is the right way is oftentimes the hard way. It's not usually the easy way. And then the final thing is, and how we close the show every time, is by trying to embody the golden rule. And I don't try to make it about religion. I try to make it about just treating others like you want to be treated yourself. And I feel like you embody those qualities as well. How sweet and how much better would this place be in Charlottesville at the micro level and at the macro level, our world, if everyone treated others like they wanted to be treated themselves and just embodied the golden rule. I thought you crushed it. Dude, you crushed
thanks,
it.
Jerry.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate it, brother. I'm really happy to be sitting here and talking with you. And
it was fun.
And, it was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you made it easy. I think June 11th, guys, we talk about June 11th. The primary is a very important date in Charlottesville, Virginia, Albemarle County as well. So keep an eye on June 11th. Put it on your calendar. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Let's thank the team. Harris Tolber, you crushed it today, per usual, homie. Judah, thank you, my boy. Lauren upstairs. Love connecting with you guys on this platform. Love sharing positive energy. And I love trying to do our small part. And I know it's a small part, but I love trying to do our small part of making Charlottesville a better spot. Since we've had our son, my perspective has changed so much on everything. And it's just, I want this young man and this little boy to live in a world, in a community in Charlottesville where he is just proud to be here, like I'm proud to be here. And I'm so excited to see him experience new things every day. It's one of my favorite aspects of life. Tomorrow, we have Nikki and Yannick Foyle, entrepreneurs in the community that are making Charlottesville a better place. She owns the Glow Out Glamour Bar on Preston. He owns Blue Ridge Pizza Company. And together, as a unit, as a team, as a husband and wife, they're opening a Texas barbecue joint in Belmont called No Limits Smokehouse that I'm excited to support and celebrate and champion on the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller. It's great to be with you guys. Golden rule, keep your head up, stay positive, and go make something happen. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12:30 on the I Love CVille Network. Dude, it's awesome. All right. You crushed it, man.
That was really fun, dude.
Yeah,
you crushed it. I didn't know where we were going to go.
I try to make
good,
it full
man.
circle.
Yeah, I liked it.
Good. This is what you can expect from us. So Harris has got every time I said sizzle reel.
Yeah.